GM. GM. So, trade of the day. Alright, it's Sunday. We often see moves on a Sunday. And, what we're doing over here is just a very typical weekend session like we had 1 week ago. We had the weekly open and the monthly open. We're sitting at the 2021 all-time high, right at that level, which is acting as a good support. You can see the similarities of last Saturday to this Saturday, only it's at a slightly higher level. We then got the usual Sunday volatility, right? Saturday, no movement. Sunday, we started to see some movement, and then price moved into its weekly directional trend. Now, the difference last week was that we had came after a basically 2-week consolidation where we had tested support multiple times and held and held and held, and it set a nice base for us to rally up to take out those highs, which it did. It didn't on OKX, but on the main exchanges, Binance, Bybit, it did. So once that liquidity has been hit, and then you see a large directional bearish reaction, my expectation would not be to see immediate continuation from here, right? Although it can happen, it absolutely can happen. And by the way, the most trappy move from here would be exactly that. Strong squeeze into those highs as everyone has short-term flipped bearish and shorted it. And then, of course, it goes in its actual direction towards the monthly open and beyond. That's one path I'm absolutely looking for. Absolutely. Very common, very, very common for price after a downside directional move to squeeze you back in the opposite direction. I'll show you a couple of examples of this. When you get that initial move, right? The initial move down, even like this one, strong initial move down. Everyone's bearish. What does it do? Squeezes up before it starts to come back to this level for a retest. So the bearish sell-off led to a retest of that level about 10 days later. But in between, it squeezed and offered some good long opportunities on the lower time frames, right? Same thing here. That move on Friday shifted sentiment quite a bit, and it really took down some alts. And I think that it's a good thing for the market if we calm it down a little bit, because people were getting themselves a little bit too excited and way too long into resistance. So what Bitcoin needs to do now more than anything, if you're a bull, is try to go lower, try to go higher, chop, but continue to be in this area. If it continues in this area for another few weeks, or even another week, that greatly increases the odds of a move higher. What you don't want to see is immediate continuation where it tears down through. I mean, when you say I don't want to see it, I'd like to see it, because I would like to see some short opportunities. I would like to see some more pain, some more blood, set up better opportunities to buy later. It would also extend the cycle, almost certainly. I think this cycle, which I'm going to talk more about on Weekly Outlook today. So Weekly Outlook at 4 p.m. UTC. I go live. Anyone who's new, if you're watching this, I do a breakdown of the week ahead. So what's going to happen in the next week. I'm going to do that live at 4 p.m. UTC. And on that Weekly Outlook, I think that, I'm going to talk about how I think that this cycle is much earlier than people recognize. But what you're going to see is so many fake moves, false moves, and missed tops. And I think you're going to see top calls all the time as people misunderstand retail. Right. So with that being said, I think that whatever happens in the next few weeks is probably likely to be one of those fake tops, if you want to call it that, which just means Bitcoin fails to go higher, it goes a bit lower. People are like, oh my God, we couldn't break out again. That's it. It's all over. It's dead. It's the top. And once you get that sentiment back again, good time to get long, and we ride it back up. There's no reason why Bitcoin needs to break out to 80, 90, or 100K right now when everyone from smart money to dumb money is all long and trying to get long and trying to ride this easy free money train. Again, most people are like, but it has to go up now because it's so close to the election and the election's a narrative. What do you mean? Like, wait a minute. What if we're in a bull market that goes for another year or 18 months? Remember, we didn't top until November 2021. That's the same as November 2025 if you go by a 4-year cycle. That's 16, 17 months from now. And I think a lot of people are just getting way ahead of themselves in both directions. And more consolidation is not going to be a surprise. So if I see more potential consolidation, let's just say Bitcoin forms this as resistance, then it'll probably go back to support, right? 60K. You can see this resistance very clearly at 70, 72. The support is very clearly at about 60 to 62, with a deviation down as low as 58. So if we just simply did that, right, and then back up, and then consolidate and break out, that would complete a nice rounded structure or accumulation structure, but it would absolutely destroy all the short-term moon boys. Now, will it happen? Don't have a crystal ball. So when I'm trading, I want to trade what seems least likely and is the non-crowded trade. I know after this move, there's going to be a lot of people, because the vibes were bearish not that long ago, and we only just started to flip bullish recently with the ETH ETF news, and like that, people will flip bearish again. So I know there's going to be some shorting here. And then when you look at the data itself, and you see this big liquidation candle, and yet open interest hasn't budged a lot. We've still got a pretty big buildup of open interest from over here, with funding rates now actually back near below neutral, 0.0089, and the spot premium getting ever increasing. So the per premium, it's still a per premium because it's blue, but we're moving towards a more neutral spot premium. I think the general direction is correct that it will be down for a little while. And I don't think we can break out and hold above 72, but we can absolutely go there for a retest. Okay? So that's my point. We can go there. I don't think, from what we've seen, once with the big ETF news that pushed everything up, and twice with all the grinding up through the week and the good employment data early in the week, and then the bad employment data at the end of the week, not able to break out. And I think that we won't be able to break that again. I think we can go there. If we do go there, I think that's the best shorting opportunity, is above there, back below, short it. I think that's the best shorting opportunity. I don't think shorting here is a good idea. I think if you're short from anywhere above 70.5, you're fine, right? If you're short from above here already, you're fine. I don't think adding a short here is good, because you can super easily see this second path, which is where he chops up, and then breaks down. Even without taking out the highs, it can just chop you. Squeeze up, and then down. And that can last for a week or more. So, for trading, the only directional trade I would look at from here would be a long. And it would ideally be if we go lower first. If we dip down and then started to push. And it would only be a short-term move. It might be just that part in there. It might take the highs, it might not. But otherwise, I think this structure here needs to see some volatility come in, which will probably come today or going into tomorrow. And you're going to see a lot of flip-flopping of bias this week. My high time frame view is unchanged, is that we can't break 72 until we get like a weekly close above 72. I think that this is still just a summer range. And if it is a summer range, eventually we're likely to go back towards range low, which is around 60. And if we can stop at 67 along the way and form support there, then great. If we can't, we'll probably go down and look at some of this. So there's trade of the day, GM.